Well, baby needs a freaking piggyback. Good thing the Xmaxx can handle towing the poor Erevo. Broke a tire.
It don't matter. I guess tonight's video is the Erevo shop video. Unfortunately, this happened courtesy of a pole. But everyone will get to see it get fixed, and I guess we'll start there. So,
First we gotta take the body off.
yeah, body, batteries.
Could have prepped it before we started, but you know.
Nah.
Why not show you all the fun stuff to do?
That's about it.
There's a lovely body. Lovely batteries. There we go. Now, first, we're going to have to take the tire off. Which isn't too hard. A little harder with it not being connected to the truck.
A little bit, yeah. But if you have good wheel hexes and proper tools, it makes life easier.
Would you look at that?
Keep in mind, any tools will do this job, but proper tools does make life a lot easier.
And make sure you have the proper size.
Yes, always use proper size tools for the proper size things.
Now, for this lovely thing, right, there's that little screw. I do believe it's a 2.
I believe it is.
It is. Oh, if I can get it to turn. A little tight.
I believe it's thread locked in.
Oh, that's another thing you should, make sure you're...
Like 90% of everything on here with anything that is aluminum. Steel to aluminum. Blue thread lock. Anything that is screwed to plastic, do not use thread lock. It will mess up the plastic.
And that should just pop off, doesn't it?
Should. You have to pull the...
That's not popping off. Why is it not popping? There we go. So, it got stuck. Put a little bit of WD-40 on her and hopefully it'll just pop right off. Supposed to, anyways.
I don't think this side has really ever been off of this truck.
We do have extras if we break it. There you go.
Yeah, that definitely has not been off of there for a very long time.
Now you just pop it out the other side. Supposed to.
I think there's a burr on it right there. Well, we'll just give it a little help. Oh, might need to switch to a bigger method. Ugh.
Oh dear. Okay, you're recording.
Also, if we have a little bit of time after we're done fixing this, we'll have a little sneak peek of the DHK Maximus. But we'll leave that on the side shelf for right now. We've done the sneak peek of the Stampede and of this guy, the Erevo. So I guess next we will upgrade parts. We love upgrade parts. Concrete parts are always good. So that should probably be cleaned at some point before it goes back together.
Paper towels up there.
Oh.
Videos take a little longer than we wanted because, you know, some things come up and you need to stop and get stuff.
That's okay. Everything all works out in the end. So what we're actually going to do is replace the entire knuckle because the pivot balls have pulled out of the plastic. It's not the first time they have come out. So with it not being the first time they've come out, it's time to replace the whole knuckle itself.
And luckily we have lots of extras. Trying to find the cleaner one out of all of them.
Clean, dirty.
I like cleaner.
There we go.
I believe I found the cleanest one out of them all.
And yes, these boots are ripped, but
gotta make sure it's, yeah, because
They
it
will
goes
do.
on that way, right?
so, yeah. Oh, well, look at that. Knuckle with the pivot balls already installed. That makes life easier.
Now we just have fun to take the pivot balls out and take to take the pivot balls out. It takes a
2.5 millimeter.
million miles long, but you know.
That's how you adjust the camera. That's why they're as long as they are. And always keep in mind, if you've got them out and you've got them apart, might as well clean your bearings at the same time. So, quick wipe off. Now, if your bearings are real nasty, you can get a little tiny blade and the blue shield. If you get just underneath the corner, you can pick the shields out, get a little container, fill them full of brake fluid, or not brake fluid, but brake cleaner. Pull them out, dry them off real good, and then always make sure you give them a squirt of WD-40, bearing oil, something, just to keep them
Moving.
lubed, moved, and to keep the rust out of them, mainly if you drive them in the water. Apparently this was loose enough I could take it out by hand. Alright, now with that all said and done.
Loctite has become our best friend.
Well, especially anything that goes into aluminum. Just be on the safe side, because these are used pieces. Always want to make sure you clean them off before you Loctite them, because Loctite does not stick to oil.
Don't need a lot.
Yeah, just enough to cover the threads. Leave them sit for a minute. And while they're sitting, always double check the rest of the machine, make sure nothing's broken. Ew, that's gross.
I picked the cleanest one. That's why I...
Did you look inside?
Yeah!
It is not clean inside there.
Oh, well then I guess this one's the cleanest because it's just dirty.
It's all good.
I always want to make sure your parts are on the cleaner side.
Relatively clean. It just helps keep the junk out of the bearings, which, as cheap as bearings are, when you're out and about playing around, is the last thing you want to do. Is blow a bearing. So all bearings, because they're only going into plastic, They just get pushed in. If you do have a really hard time getting them in, always double check the plastic, make sure there's no burrs inside. Double check your bearings to make sure that they spin nice and freely. Less headache later in the future. There we go. 2.5. Now this one, because the bottom arm's loaded with the shock, let's start with the top one.
And you want to make sure that this piece is facing towards the back tire
Always
when you're
towards
working
the back
on
tire.
the front.
Oops. The fun part. Make sure that all of this gets lined up correctly, and that you don't end up cross-threading them. Even with plastic, you do not want to cross-thread them.
And it's very easy to do, so you got to make sure you're paying attention and be careful on what you're doing.
Plastic and aluminums are all the same. When I put them on, I always make sure that they turn completely one side to the other. Always to be on the safe side, just because if you tighten these in too much, it'll cause them to bind from the back side of the knuckle to the top side of the shaft. When it binds up in there, instead of it actually making a full turn, it'll stop the servo from making full turn, putting more stress on the servo and possibly blowing the servo out. Over time, it wouldn't happen as a one-time deal, but it can happen.
So, what are you doing right now?
Putting the steering link onto it. Whatever I do with the screw. There's a screw. So, steering link goes back on. Oh, I better not put the steering link back in. We're missing a crucial piece of componentry. The drive shaft. That would help if you want it to be four-wheel drive.
Well, it's the main reason why we're fixing it.
Well, I don't know about that. The main reason for fixing it is because, well, it was in pieces. And, well, when stuff is in pieces, it's never fun. It's never good. Ruins an outing very quickly. And if you happen to be a fair distance from home, it can really wreck your day.
We try and make sure we have extra parts, one of each, when we go out, just on the safe side, if it's a quick fix. So it doesn't completely ruin our day.
That bearing is going to be a pain. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with that drive shaft.
Do we have an extra one?
No, I do not. But
They get bent.
now there's a burr on the end of it. So, if I can find it, this stuff right here. Ouch. You just fell on the couch.
No, sorry. My bad. I was kind of watching you walk away, but you know.
So, a little bit of sandpaper. Helps clean everything up, keeps it nice and neat. This stuff is, well, I don't know, fairly fine. It's not coarse at all. You don't want to use anything coarse. It'll leave grooves in the metal. If you leave grooves in the metal, you will have a very, very hard time getting them out. And if worse comes to worse, and you have a really big burr anywhere around the holes, use a steel file. Just enough to take off the burr. Always make sure to do the field test. If it doesn't pull, it should be okay. And that's all that's happened there. And it's still going to be a bit of a pain going over, but
A little extra WD-40 never hurts.
no, not usually. I just don't want to have to hammer it back in, which I might have to do. So we'll put you all on pause right now, and we'll come back when I get the bearing put in.
Alright, so we got the bearing back in, and we will end up having to replace it. It is starting to...
It's starting to go. It's not the greatest of shape, but right now,
So
it'll work for a while before the whole machine gets.
We're gonna try and show you how exactly it goes in there.
Yeah, the
way back in.
The axle is a dog bone style, so there's a pin on each side, and each pin has a corresponding groove in the cup. I don't know if you'll be able to see with the
yep.
with it out or not, but there's one side of the pin. The other side's on the other side. To get the cups out, a little tiny screw right down inside here. You can actually undo the screw, slide the cups off. Makes life easier for some things. If you have to pull the diffs out, 90% of the time you have to take those cups off. As long as you're in here messing around, you should always double check. The twos, I believe the twos. Always check both sides, just to make sure they're tight. You don't want a cup falling off. Aftermarket axles are kind of bad for them coming loose. You just gotta give them a check once in a while. I'd say, you know, part of maintenance. Whenever you clean your machine, check your machine. You should check it before and after every run. But everybody's a little different, so some people check them every run, some people don't. There was to be a video on this channel of the Xmaxx getting the 8S diffs put in it. Just due to the situation, they did get put in, and I did not film it. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But if anybody has any questions upon it, feel free to comment. There should be a video coming out once the subscribers are there and people ask questions about how to do this and how to do that. Then there will be videos coming out, whether it be with the Erevo, Maximus, Xmaxx, Lozi, any machine generally, be it electric or nitro, either one. I currently do not have any nitros. I am not planning on getting any nitros. They are a pain to run around here, so I stay away from them. And the other pieces over there. So I will take the camera, and you can pretty much do the rest.
Oh, thanks. How nice of you.
Hey, no problem. Look, I'll even be nice. I'll jack it up.
Alright. What's that side? You always gotta make sure that your screws go on the right side.
It's pretty simple. It's just basically it's a grub screw that is an extension on it.
Looks like that.
So pretty easy. They only go in one way. You just line them up, tighten them down, and away you go. They're nothing too special. Anybody who's owned any Traxxas with any sort of 17 mil tire on it, they basically all have the same thing. Oh, we completely forgot.
And which is that, my dear?
From the little sneak peek video that I did. I don't know if anybody's realized, these are not the same tires.
Ah, right.
So this is a brand new set of Proline Badlands.
Yeah, we'll even show you the front of her.
So, got a good deal on them, figured they were worth the price. And overall, so far, I cannot fault these tires.
2.72 by 5.8.
So, it did have those big, wide, honking, pretty much road tires
show
on
them.
it. Actually,
We got the old tires.
We do have one. right here.
Big difference.
So yeah, a little bit of a difference. Probably doesn't show so well on the video, but a little bit of a difference. And
I'll put her down so I can tighten her.
Nicer rims too. Main reason for changing the tires, not really tread wise. These ones still have a fair bit of tread on them. For some reason, they got to be a Chinese brand of some sort. Even though they are beadlock wheels, the rims are very cheap. They bend really easily, cause a lot of vibration makes it really hard to drive at any sort of speed. And this particular Erevo is basically a demon. I haven't speed tested it yet, but I'm gonna say it's in the neighborhood of, I'm gonna say at least 60 mile an hour, give or take. Now we're up in Canada, so everything is in kilometers, but pretty much everybody can do a generic conversion. So whatever you want, 80k, 60, 50 mile an hour, somewhere in there.
You always want to make sure your little lug nuts are tight.
And looking by that alignment's actually pretty good. They could come out a little bit.
Top or bottom?
Both of them will have to actually be backed out.
Alright.
The tire is straight, it's towed in a little bit. So.
Where are you?
And yes, alignment adjustment is something you can do with the tire on with these trucks. Even though they do have a little rubber stopper that goes in to keep all the dirt out of the balls, but they're pretty easy to adjust. You don't got to go wild on them. Just
now, how you're adjusting the tires are the balls themselves.
Yes, because these actually lock into the knuckle where I've got a spare knuckle. Here's a knuckle.
Broken.
So while she's tightening that up, we'll just have a little look here. So this piece sits down inside there, and there's another little plastic part that screws down inside here with a little castle head on it, and it's what actually holds this out. And then when you thread it in or out, it uses the threads here to adjust the camber, top or bottom. You can adjust both if you need to. Now, what we've actually done, because the steering on the Erevo is straight, so we don't have to mess with this turnbuckle back here and readjust this one and then readjust the other one, because it's already been previously set and they generally do not move. It's just easier to adjust using the camber, because if you move the upper and lower ones out, it will actually tow the tire out. So, other than that, our alignment looks pretty good.
And that's how it's done there, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I guess, yeah, we got a little bit of time. We'll get this put away, and we'll see you back in a second with the Maximus. Alrighty, so because we have a little bit of extra time, this is a new to us DHK Maximus. It's actually not ours. It's a friend's. Just picked it up. It's had, I don't know, a few hours of runtime on it. That's why it's pretty dirty. But
they went to the sand dunes.
It has, it's kind of dirty. But I have a closer look at it. So this is a 4S edition. It's a pretty basic setup. It's got 120 amp ESC, a 2030 kV motor. It's set up pretty much the same as a Losi. It has a center diff in it, which provides power to the front and rear tires, which is actually down in here. You probably really won't see it, but it's buried under here. Set of spider gears inside, so it's more of a race truck and a stunt truck than a wheelie truck or anything like that. This particular one will wheelie. The video should be uploaded, well, before you see this one. Pardon me. 90% of the truck is aluminum, has an aluminum plate over the shock tower, aluminum body shocks front and rear, little bits of aluminum throughout it, heat sink fan, stock sway bars, which that one is actually really loose. And to everybody's surprise, for I will call it an Asia special, all aluminum underbelly. Other YouTubers claim this thing is indestructible, being as it is a Maximus. If you do drive it hard, you're going to break it. That is what there is to it. Comes stock with wheel extensions. This whole vehicle is 100% stock, has not been played with at all yet. In the future, it'll probably get some upgrades, bigger motor, better ESC, might even go 6S.
Better batteries.
A little better battery, yes. Other than that, it basically is what it is. I'm not a fan of the Dean's connectors, but being as it is not my personal RC, I let it go. If it was me, I'd cut them off. XT90s, even a set of Traxxas plugs are better than these. I have had no luck with these. T connectors or Dean's connectors, they go by a lot of different names. I always melt them. They are cheap. You can't solder to them without melting the plastic on them. It just, no luck. I'm not going to rant and rave on it forever. That's just the way they are. I don't actually know if I showed it on the Erevo, but the Erevo does have a set of headlights on it. I don't know if anybody else does those. It's just over in the corner.
We'll do a quick little show for you.
Little show of that guy. And the one thing that I have not done yet, and I'm sure everybody on the channel is itching and itching and itching. I've seen the views for the videos, and I'm sure everybody wants to see the Xmaxx. Now, the video is going to be longer than I want it to be already, but we'll bring out the Xmaxx, have a quick little show at it.
Sneak
then
peek.
We'll wrap the video up quite nicely. The Xmaxx is basically a wrap up for it anyways. So the Xmaxx is running your standard controller with a Bluetooth link. Standard Traxxas TQI does not come with the Bluetooth link. So that is another $60 that I would have to spend. Now, this guy is basically the dad to the Erevo. Relatively same body, relatively same stuff, just a lot bigger. This is the 6S edition Xmaxx. So it would be version 1. Same as every other version. It has your quick lock top on it. This is the basher body. It has seen better days.
Even our pretty body has
Broken,
seen pretty
split.
better days.
Yes, there is a nicer body for this. Unfortunately, it's not so nice anymore. So we have the stock motor, stock pinion gear. It does have an aftermarket slipper clutch in it. It's all Integy. Integy heavy duty slipper. Integy cover. Integy upper, lower control arms, all aluminum. It has Integy knuckles on the outsides, all four corners. Basically, it's the same thing in the front. It's Integy upper lowers, stock shocks. Has a full Integy kit inside here for your steering support. I will say, out of everything that is Integy on this particular truck, the only part I was not impressed with was the servo saver. It's too stiff. Since I've owned the truck, which has only been, what, 2 months?
Yeah, roughly about
Maybe
that.
2 months. The original stock servo that was in it, I had to do it maybe 3-4 times, stripped the gears on it. Figured, okay, fine, stock one, no big deal. I bought the upgraded one, which is the X edition. It's all metal insides. Had it out 3 times and quit working. Stripped the output gear on it. So ended up waiting.
Broke teeth.
Sent it. Well, emailed Traxxas, and Traxxas sent me a whole other gear set for the servo. I put the gear set in the servo. to realize that the motor in the servo was done. So that will be getting sent back to Traxxas because the servo is not even 2 weeks old, and they can replace it. Other than that, batteries are your standard Traxxas end, because this truck, believe it or not, is still under warranty, which is a nice thing. Batteries, it is a set of Gen Ace 8400 milliamp 3S. So 3S, you end up with 6S. And in case you run smaller batteries, which these ones are gigantic.
Like what runs in the Erevo.
I do not have another battery around here to compare it with right at the moment. But these, anyways, are adapters for a lower profile battery. The batteries in here do not look as that big. They are monsters. These are probably the biggest battery. Well, you can go a little longer in here, but the way that everything is set up, it works out quite nicely. They fit perfectly in there. No problems. Yeah, we'll pop a battery to the Erevo real quick and we'll just do a little size comparison. They're both 3S batteries. The Erevo is running a 5,000 milliamp Traxxas battery. Lipos.
Big difference.
So, and this is the Gen Ace. So, lengthwise,
Widthwise.
widthwise and lengthwise, they are identical.
Height.
It's in the height.
Big
that
difference.
The difference is. That's why you need the adapters if you're going to run little baby Traxxas batteries. Wouldn't call them baby batteries. They do last in the Erevo quite nicely. Not as long as these batteries do, of course, but they're also a lot higher capacity.
Pardon me.
Only thing that's really been done to this is the fan. This is a 12-volt fan that has been wired into the ES, or not the ESC, it's been wired into the receiver. So instead of it running 12 volt, it only runs 6. Now, it's a controversial thing. People say it's hard on the receiver. I have not had a problem with it, never had to replace the receiver, and there's no lag, there's no draw in the steering or the throttle of any sort, so I don't see it being a problem. If there was to become a problem, it would get disconnected and plugged directly in to the ESC, which has its own power wire lead off of it, which is what it would get connected to. Other than that, what you see is what you got, and I guess we'll see everybody later for more in upcoming videos, and eventually there will be the odd live stream coming out. Probably some of the shop times will be live stream. Footage wise, let me know what you want to see down in the comments. You want to see big air? We'll do big air. You want to see the bashing videos? We'll do bashing videos. You guys want to see some racing between the Xmaxx, the Maximus, the Erevo, the Lozi? There's even a Slash that we can bring out. Might take a little bit of a modification, but if you do see the Slash on this channel, keep in mind that one is specifically built for my nephew.
11-year-old.
So he drives it like an 11-year-old. So crashing, smashing, banging up, it's going to happen. It's fully built. It's all RPM, everything in it. It can take it. But have a good night, and
don't forget to subscribe.
see you next time.